Fans, we are live again on thehannibaltv.com with another episode of the Shooting from the Hip podcast. My name is Jack Kilby, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling, and I'm joined, as always, by the one and only, the now legendary King of the Street, the Kingpin.
You almost had it. You forgot the reigning heavyweight champion. Then what you said.
We'll get to that. We got plenty of time. But the man who is known as the King of the Streets, the now reigning and still undefeated Great North Wrestling hardcore champion, the one, the only Angel Medina.
That is better, brother. I appreciate the warmth. But hey, I'm pretty excited to do the show. I understand fans are always wondering when we're going to do a show, but I like to surprise them, keep them on their toes. If you feed them cereal every day, they get tired of it. So when we do these shows and pop them in, fans just jump on it because they don't know when the next one is going to be. So we keep that spontaneity going, keep that relationship strong, and really appreciate you fans supporting the show. Also, I want to send out my condolences to, the one Jeremy's family. One of my buddies, one of the guys I trained at Gleason Gym, passed away October 10th in Japan. It's very hard on me to have somebody that I know for such a long time who had a lot of I can't not say anything negative about this guy. This guy was just an awesome guy. And he was a good friend. He always checked up on me. He always, see how I was doing. But anyway, we'll talk about him more later on the show. We definitely got a lot of things to talk about. I just dropped my middle finger on the floor and and we're ready to kick it off and start the show off right.
Well, yeah, that'll be a situation, a tragic situation that you'll speak to. There he is. We'll speak to that situation of the man known as the quarter man at the end. But what have you been up to in terms of your training regimen and other issues that you've been up to, man?
Brother, thank you for bringing that up because it's been a positive outlook in regards. And since I became the heavyweight champion, taking everything seriously, even though I took it seriously when I faced what was his name again?
Big Daddy Oreo.
Absolutely, Big Daddy Oreo. But brother, I am down to 273. Kicking it strong, hitting it right. The Kingpin is the most. I'm excited because I have been committed and laser focused. So I'm going to be a heavyweight champion for quite a while, man. Anybody out there that's ready to take the physical, the Pepsi challenge, I'm ready. I'm ready to come back to Canada. Hopefully, I'm going to get some insurance, so make sure my body will come back without any issues. But that's a joke for Wong. He knows, But yeah, I mean, that's something that we need to talk about. That's something that wrestlers, I never realized that, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Well, I'm glad you're staying in fighting shape and condition. We have had
bro, but hey, you know what? I don't mean to interrupt you. Hey, it's not me, it's you. You give me you're my man on the side telling me, putting me praise. So don't want to fail, the big money players. And I want to keep everything going strong, and we have to keep our stable strong. So we can't be eating, poutine every day and getting fat and taking our reign lightly,
Or we'll start to look like Big Daddy Oreo.
Big Daddy Oreo.
Nobody needs that for sure, no matter what way you slice it. But I'm proud of you, man. We're experiencing. We're looking ahead towards 2025 in Great North Wrestling. I already have one date inked for Smith Falls, Ontario. We'll be returning once again to Smith Falls, Ontario, to the site of the awesome card known as the Smith Falls Showdown that we ran there in 2023. Great fans there in Ontario. And we're going to be looking at, of course, some more dates. We're going to put everything together. I've been talking to some talent to come in. We're really entering a new era of Great North Wrestling, and it's going to be successful. I'm looking at a number of opportunities, but at the core of Great North Wrestling are the big money players, yourself, myself, And let's not forget that big man, that big killer that really, really showed Rene Dupree what it was like to mess with the big money players. And I would be talking about the prodigy Nathan Banner. But fans, if you haven't already, subscribe to the HannibalTV.com, which is the central hub for all things Great North Wrestling, and we'll have big announcements coming forward. But I'm glad to hear that you're staying in shape and not looking at relinquishing that title anytime soon, which I have right here with me as always.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, I can't wait to come back to Canada. I love going over there. The only thing I hate is that you guys have these delicious candy bars that I can't fucking resist. So every time I go up there, we hit the store and I'm fucking munching away. So that's the negative about going to Canada. Candies that I don't get in the US that I just overindulge.
Well, it's all about balance, and you seem to pull that off. But since the last show, we've experienced quite a newsworthy period in terms of the professional wrestling business. Just briefly, the passing, the untimely passing from cancer of one of the owners of Ring of Honor, Joe Koff, who owned the company prior to Tony Khan purchasing it. He passed away in early mid-October. Did you know anything about Mr. Koff and his tenure?
Only know about him through Nana, we and the other boys, we talked about him, but I never knew him personally. I don't know anything negative or positive about him. I just knew he was the owner. But again, I have nothing to say about him because I never heard anything negative or anything positive. So I condolences to his family. Cancer's a bitch. Eat you up alive, and that's the thing. Just like my buddy who passed away just recently, he came on Facebook, saying that, they just found some spots in his brain, but they caught it early. He was positive. He had a big outlook on everything. And then all of a sudden he just got worse. And, he was a great guy. Another one, who always protected me, always took care of me from the fans, Atlas Security is the most top-notch security company out there if you have a wrestling show and can afford them, but those guys will always take care of you and they always have my back. So, Joe is just, he was a good dude, and it just kills me that he's no longer here.
Mm-hmm. One of the major events upcoming in the Philadelphia area that I'm very excited about and will most definitely be there covering for the HannibalTV.com is the one and done show, the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance reunion. Put an exclamation point on the legacy of Tri-State Wrestling that is being organized by Joel Goodhart, the original and only promoter, and Chubby Dudley. Are you watching the buzz on this to take place at the ECW 2300 Arena? Full fan fest. They've announced a couple of big guests, including Sabu and Tony Atlas, but many more to come, and a great wrestling card to be at the 2300 Arena. Have you been following the buzz on this one?
A little bit. I mean, I'm not familiar with Chubby. I mean, I know him, but I don't know him. And
great guy, Bay.
Great. Again, I just watched a little bit that they're doing that promotion over there at the bingo hall. I'm pretty excited that they keep doing some ECW reunions and stuff like that. But like I said, I haven't seen too much information, just enough to just keep my mouth, like I said, watering and trying to find out some more. But it's good, man. I love Philadelphia. Philadelphia is my home. I love it. Every time I go back, I mean, it's a pleasure. Like I said, there's places that I love. There's Canada, there's Philly. I love New York, but it's a pain in the ass. But I'm pretty excited that this is gonna kick off.
Yeah, I'm personally very excited about this event. As I've indicated in some of the interviews that I've done with Joel, Tri-State Wrestling was a revolutionary promotion during its tenure. Really brought in a lot of territorial stars and kind of set the flavor for what would become the Philly style, based on their use of a lot of stalwarts that were their crew from Philly. Talking about Hitman, Tony Stetson. There he is. I knew he was coming. I knew he was coming up. I thought you might have lost him.
Oh, I don't lose him, brother. That's my ride or die, buddy. Joe Boo. Go ahead, keep going.
You got all the gimmicks there. Yeah, and we're talking about probably one of the independent wrestling events of the year. And last week, when I spoke to Joel and Chubby, I said, "Is this really going to be a one and done, or is it going to be a resurgence a la Extreme Rising that came out of those ECW reunion shows?" And they said unequivocally, this is a one-time deal. So anybody who's in the Northeast that's a fan of ECW, the Philly style, and TWA, you should check it out. Follow Chubby on Facebook and other social media for full ticket information. What I'm excited about is they have a petition out on change.org to raise a banner in the ECW arena, or as Joel says, drop the banner with a number of the TWA Eastern Championship Wrestling stars, including Johnny Hotbody. Joel's name is going to be on there, and a number of luminaries that I'm forgetting. So I think it's great that they'll be getting a little bit of shine for their contribution to the business.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, hopefully they get the names on that petition so they can definitely get that put up. Like I said, it's well deserved for individuals that, done stuff in the business for quite a while. So yeah, I'm happy for that. I'm happy for them, and I'm happy for that they decided to do something like that.
Well, we'll keep the fans up to date on that one. But moving into other news, a story that you first sent to me. And
wait, I know you're heartbroken. I know that you don't want to. Hold on, let's just take a breather. Hold on, let's pause. That in regards to the ring announcer quitting and they brought back Lillian Garcia. So I understand the pain, the suffering that you're going through. Why am I dropping everything? But you'll be all right.
Well, yeah, that would be the departure of Samantha Irwin from WWE from a what appeared to be or what has been publicized as being a huge contract to go off and do uncertain things. I guess she's in a relationship with Ricochet, and he said that she's not coming to AEW. So who knows? But were you surprised by the amount of? I personally, I was surprised at the reaction to her departure from the internet wrestling community. I guess she had a lot of fans.
Well, I mean, she was like the, not Michael. Yeah, Michael Buffer. It's time. And
Michael and Bruce Buffer. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, she had the voice. She was building a following. It's all about the brand. Let's get ready to rumble, and it's time. And it's once you get that, that niche, and you got to get a following. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that she made a name for herself and stood out from everybody. The funny thing is that the story that I heard is that she wanted a little bit more, a little bit under, a little bit more like a character on TV, and they shit on her. I mean, I'm not saying shit on her, but they just said no. So I think that probably was the the stepping stone for her to make a decision to stay or not stay. And also she was not signed as a talent, so she doesn't have a no compete clause, so she could do what the fuck she wants.
She wanted to become a TV character. Is that what you read?
Yeah, that's what I read. That she wanted, like a persona. So get involved a little bit more instead of just doing just the ring announcing. I mean, they did it with Lily Garcia in a little bit, but.
See, I'm not a fan of that, and I'm not a fan of referees such as the one in AEW who will remain nameless. That they, in my opinion, those roles are very important roles, but they take away from our focus as fans and consumers of the product. In my humble opinion, should be on the wrestlers and not a ref that's trying to get themselves over and so bad that she distracts the matches itself, or a ring announcer. No disrespect to her at all, but for me, there'll only be one ring announcer, and I'm showing my age here, and I know you share the assessment, but there's only one Howard Finkel. That man contributed to so many classic moments in the Federation history in those golden years just by doing his job. and I don't think Howard would have requested or been comfortable being a TV character. But what do I know?
Yeah, it's just funny talking about Howard Finkel. I remember when before he passed away, he was like in a retirement facility or assisted living, whatever you want to call it. And I remember talking to one of my friends, like, man, that's kind of weird that WWE. And again, I don't know, but it just looked like, when you like see your top stars living in like kind of a basic apartment or just just living an average life, and you're like, man, I figured that motherfucker be in a nice house and got fucking nurses coming to his house to take care of him because he got the money and not being at a facility. So it was kind of a little bit heartbreaking, when I saw him like that. But I don't know. Again, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Just the visual was not a bueno.
Yeah, that's considering how much of a role he played in The Office, and was quite an integral player to Vince behind the scenes. That's I never personally heard that, but just in terms of his work, he's the GOAT. I don't think we're gonna see, and no disrespect again to Samantha Irwin or some of the other people like the dude in AEW. I don't mind his stuff. Justin Roberts. I think he's decent too, but yeah, it's interesting. We'll have to see where she turns up, if anywhere. Maybe she'll be a person. Maybe they're trying to swerve us in AEW, and she'll end up there. But
yeah, they probably would. They'll probably do some major. It has to be something major. Let's just start at like Wilmington, in England, and she makes an appearance. That's a big thing. So. You can't just bust your load on that. So there could be a surprise. You never know. I mean, why would Ricochet bring it up? You know what I mean? Well, she's not coming. You know what I mean? Well, she ain't coming.
Good question. Craig is saying Samantha Irwin was okay aside from her being with Ricochet. Nothing really overly startling about her. They brought back Lillian, as you said, after she left. I concur with that assessment. But again, I don't really get invested in the ring announcers, so to speak. On to other WWE news, and this is pretty big. That the Motor City Machine Guns debuted in the WWE and have already picked up the SmackDown Tag Team titles. What do you think of their future in the federation? They're getting obviously a big push right off the bat, but they don't have a really good track record in WWE for in modern times treating tag teams well.
Well, I mean, look, I have nothing against the Motor City Machine Guns. They're an awesome tag team. Can't talk nothing negative about them. They've been in the business for over 20 years. They're talented. They're Chris Sabin's talented. Alex Shelley's talented. I mean, they deserve the opportunity to be in WWE and especially getting us titles. So I mean, kudos to them. I praise them. I marked out for them. I mean, especially clicking out of 3D. They're the only ones that did that. So I mean, God bless them, bro. Ride that wave until you can't ride it no more. WWE is one of those things that hopefully they use them in the best light. Instead of just using them as a one-hit wonder and just so now they're like the oh my god, now I caught a brain fart. The Anderson and Gallows.
Oh yeah.
What's the name of the tag team again? I forgot.
Yeah, they used to be the Bullet Club, but I can't remember what club or whatever they're called.
Yeah, now. two great talented wrestlers, back burner. Same thing with Ricochet. Nothing negative, just like, man, they definitely could use those guys and put money behind them to push them just like they did with Roman Reigns. So hopefully, I wish them the best of luck. I hope they make a ton of money, and if they do make a ton of money and nothing comes out of it besides cash, then God bless them, man. I mean, that's the only downside, making cash.
I hate to draw the comparison, but they remind me in some ways of Brian Kedrick and Paul London, two extremely talented individuals. They were over. And they got summarily, you don't like them? I did. They got summarily buried by Triple H, and that was the end of it for them.
I'm not knocking them. I just can't compare those two different styles, two different individuals. I just don't see it. That's your opinion. I totally understand that, but I can't compare them. I just think Motor City Machine Guns are way better. From my perspective, more stronger, more quicker, more faster. All that they had was speed, London, and Kendrick. And again, I'm not saying they're not talented. I just apples and oranges.
True. It's we'll have to wait and see. Maybe WWE under Triple H will bring back tag teams and give them some of the respect they deserve. Well known that tag team wrestling is some of the most entertaining product that there is, and just hope that they're treated with some respect. Next story on the making a lot of getting a lot of virtual ink the last week or so is Donald Trump, the presidential candidate, on the Undertaker podcast. Did you happen to see that? And then Trump walking out to a rally with the Undertaker's music. Did you catch any clips of that?
No, man, I've been busy, but you got to send me those clips, man. I want to see the interview, and that's the thing, Batista is shitting on Trump, which again, that's his choice. That's what's part of the American way. That you can vote whoever you want to vote. But it's funny how Undertaker and Kane were like, if you want to be like this motherfucker and Batista and shit like that, like they kind of shit on Batista a little bit, And I think I'm not saying Batista's not popular, but again, Undertaker is like if Batista's here, Undertaker's here. I'm not saying that this is not negative. It's just like, but it's an Undertaker. You know what I mean? You can't compare the Ric Flair to Triple H. Yeah, Triple H is here. It's awesome, but it's Ric Flair. So. That's a smart thing that Trump did. I'm happy he still keeps connection with wrestling and UFC, because some people, once you get into that position, you forget where you come from and you're like, oh, I don't fuck with those dudes no more. And that's good that he still stays grounded, still connects with the people that have a lot of fan base, and they back in Trump will give the fans will just follow what Undertaker would say. So it's good, man. Trump is a smart individual, man. He's I don't know the motherfucker, but from my perspective, he stays grounded.
Well, he was just on Joe Rogan's podcast.
I'm gonna watch that today.
Yesterday, and I haven't seen it yet, but heard they spent about 10 minutes talking about boxing and UFC. So pretty smart strategy there to appeal to the common male audience that the Democrats are failing miserably connecting with.
Yeah, man, I hope they don't do no shenanigans, no high spots, no Montreal screw job on fucking Trump, because I just feel like it's just weird, man. When you start seeing, it's just funny back in the days when you didn't have social media and you didn't have, that's where you had that Watergate, with the fucking manila envelope in the fucking garage with the guy with the fedora and the fucking tan trench coat. When you found those, controversial situations, now you're in the spotlight every time, man. There's no way to hide. So hopefully, the Democrats don't try to pull a high spot, because eventually they're going to find out that they did pull a high spot. So there's always a fucking whistleblower somewhere.
Well, there's as we've talked about off air, there's there's a lot riding on this election. Just less than 10 days away. There's a lot of people that are saying there won't be a peaceful transition of power, but I know those of us up here in Canada are watching and hoping that some of the more dire predictions don't occur for the country, because let's face it, the United States is still the beacon of liberty and freedom in this world that is becoming increasingly less so. So I don't think it's hyperbole when people talk about this election being the most important in history.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very important election. I'm pretty excited. And then, people wondering what the Kingpin is going to vote. I'm voting for Trump, motherfucker. Trump 2020, 24, well, really.
You're at odds. You're at odds with not only Batista, but Craig is saying that he saw a recent video with Mick Foley endorsing Kamala Harris. So there you go.
And the funny thing about Kamala Harris is not because I'm shitting on her, and it's not because she's a woman. Because Tulsi Gabbard, she's an awesome individual. I would vote for her ass. It's just Kamala's stupid, and you can't just go off of because you don't like the person. You got to go off of what they have to offer. I mean. The thing is that, just because you hate Trump, you got to just peel that skin back and look at it from a different perspective and go, but what has he given me? What is he offering? What has he done for me back then that I know that my life was better? Yeah, he's a dick. He's an asshole. I can't fucking stand him, but he put money in my pocket. Look at it from that instead of putting emotions involved. That's the key thing, man. Put what you got, man. Was your life a little bit easier? You know, were your belly a little bit fuller? You know, look at it
Well,
like that.
that's a great point because a lot of Americans across racial, gender, ethnic, whatever divides are saying under Trump we had the economy was better, inflation wasn't as crushing. We didn't have this open border situation that is causing so much strife. So I think that is the winning message, aside from all the divisive rhetoric that's out there. And hopefully after this election there's one way or another a peaceful transition of power, and the country can begin to be a little more unified, given what's going on with the recent strengthened alliance between China, North Korea, Iran, India, and some other bad actors, as said in the American media.
No, absolutely. I mean, just like, you just said it right there, I mean, uh just like in Canada, you guys got the double whammy, man. You got a great prime minister, he's loved by everybody, hugged by everybody, runs
Oh yeah,
runs runs the government like a fucking
yeah.
well-oiled machine. So, like I was just saying, Trump, you don't like him, but you have the double, you got he's loved, he's wanted, he's cared about, plus he gives to the people. So, hopefully we could be like what Canada represents in the US, and it'll be just like a well-oiled machine, a cog in the wheel, bro. Just smooth, see how smooth that is, just like that, bro.
Very smooth, like a baby's butt. Okay, well, moving on from there, the other story that came out the last couple of days is, and I sent this to you as well, is that new Ring Boy lawsuit against TKO and WWE related to all that Mel Phillips stuff, who's what I understand to be long dead, but they're using a statute where the limitations on such alleged crimes does not apply, and they're going after some justice for the victims. And what I found surprising, well, not surprising, but a new twist to this story, is Pat Patterson, who was generally given a pass on the Terry Garvin, Mel Phillips horrendous behavior, is now being called into question for whatever involvement he may have had in this situation. Do you think that Pat was perhaps given a pass because he was so crucial to the creative of the
Yeah.
WWE during some of their most successful years? What do you think of the lawsuit in general?
Well, I mean, I think the law, and I'm not saying it's bogus. I'm not saying that. It's just that it's just funny how all of a sudden, when it's just like the P Diddy situation. Like two, three people come out and talk about this allegation, and then the wheels are rolling. Then all of a sudden, the next person comes in, and the next person comes in. And all of a sudden, all these people. So the thing with the Vince McMahon situation in regards to the mistress and the payoffs and stuff. Now this individual, again, I'm not knocking what happened to him. I don't know what happened to him. Hopefully he'll get tons of money in regards to that. But it's just funny how all of a sudden when something else is happening, he decides to come in and go, well, if they're going to benefit, I'm going to jump in and benefit. I just think it's just too late. I just live by a philosophy. If it report it when it happens, and take it on the chin if you win, take it on the chin if you lose. But now that he's coming in, it's been over how many years?
Well, we're talking the 80s, at least mid
Yeah,
to
I
late
mean,
80s. Yeah.
so how much evidence do you have? All there is right now is speculation. Yeah, he was there. Maybe he got fired because he was stealing. Maybe he got fired because he wasn't doing his job correctly. Maybe he left on bad terms, and now he's realizing, like, I could get my revenge. I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's what people are going to look at. Because why did you wait so long? Why didn't you sue when the other individual sued and he got a settlement out of the deal? Did your case held water? Maybe didn't held water, and that's why you didn't get no payday that time. Again, that's just me thinking outside the box.
Well, yeah, and I think you, without questioning the, because I haven't read the filing, of course, only some summaries, but we're talking about some principal actors that are long dead. Mel Phillips, Terry Garvin, Pat Patterson, they're all gone. And it's kind of a difficult position to, as a company, defend the actions of notwithstanding the decades that have occurred between now and the filing, but the fact that some of the principles are dead. And you know, I don't think history will regard does not right now regard Mel Phillips or Terry Garvin as good people. In fact, they're monsters. The
And look
jury
at it
is
like
out on
this.
Patterson.
Look at it like this. They already sold the company to TKO, right? What does that have to do with me? So I'm thinking about it like this. If I sold you my house, right? And they say, you know, that I was in the house and I was beat up by a bunch of dudes in the house. And then I come and sue you. Dude, I just bought the house, man. I have nothing to do with anything that has what happened before. You know, so I don't know where he's going to go with this because TKO is a different company. They're not involved in what happened. Vince McMahon stepped down. So who are you suing? Triple H wasn't there. Stephanie was just a kid. Shane was a kid. Pat Patterson's dead. All those individuals are dead. Arnold Scolin's, you know what I'm saying? Like, who are you going after? I mean, you know, you're just going after the WWE logo, but there's layers, man. You know, just like Shrek said, man. You know, or Donkey said, like an onion. It's just fucking so many layers that you're like, the people that you want to get in trouble are no longer there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I've heard Meltzer talk about it, and he basically mentioned that with the Tom Cole accusations originally, if these other folks, and he didn't settle, but if these other folks would have come forward as well, it could have been a different situation that had the potential to take the company down. But again, we're talking 40 plus years ago, so the utility of it right now seems to be in question. But we'll keep an eye on that one as well, along with the other lawsuit that seems to be on pause at this point in time. But let's talk about the topic at hand of the day, and that is the most notable. And fans have sent some of these in to myself to discuss, and it's not a numeric list by any sense of the word, but it's some of the most notable ones, movies, wrestling movies, pro wrestling related movies that have been promulgated over the last 50 years or so. Before we get to that, I just want to recognize great guy Bob the Cooker Cook of WCW fame is saying it's just a fast talking lawyer trying to convince some people that they can get some easy money. You may be right there, sir.
No, I agree. You know, like I said, if it happened then, you should have reported it then. Like I said, it's just like the P. Diddy situation, just like any other, Harvey Weinstein, not defending him, just saying. Motherfuckers just come out of the woodwork saying, hey, these motherfuckers are suing. I better jump on that bandwagon because they'll probably just settle just to get rid of me and not worry about it. So that's all it is. You know, that's the only sad part.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to be as fast to settle as WCW did back in the day. But
you know who was also in the allegation?
Who?
These nuts.
Okay, I walked into that one pretty.
I got him.
Pretty close.
Got him.
You got me there. But I want to thank the fans who have contributed to some of the titles. You're crying there. To some of you popped yourself to the point where
for the tears.
That's awesome. Who contributed some of these, and we're going to get to some of the suggestions that the fans have contributed on the live stream. But you mentioned one that I completely forgot about that came back in my memory after you mentioned it, and that was the one and only 1978 with Henry Winkler. I don't know
that's
that one, but what was that one all about?
The one and only, he was a struggling actor in New York City. You got to watch it, dude. You never watched it?
No, I can't remember it, but I do remember the title.
I sent you the link for the movie on YouTube, but he's a struggling actor. Like, I think it's a Broadway actor, and he's just struggling. So he decided to perfect his craft and got into the professional wrestling business. So he played like a neo-Nazi character, and you could see that they're doing a tour, different towns doing the same thing. So he used to walk around the ring with this fucking the fucking helmet with the fucking spike and knock people out. It's an old movie, but if you watch it, you enjoy it because there's some stars in there that you're like, hey, that looks like fucking so and so, and it's just a good wrestling movie, and you just got to watch it. Watch it, you'll be entertained. He did a Ric Flair gimmick. If you see him, he had a long blonde hair. He had the robe way before. I don't think it was way before Ric Flair, but it was just a good show.
It was 78, so it was just when Flair's career was getting started.
So he had the long hair, the robe. It was a good movie. You know, like I say, he was a struggling actor, and he was just trying to sharpen his teeth with his acting skills to develop his acting skills, and taking on those different roles was helping him be better. So that's, if I remember correctly, that's what he was doing it for. You know.
So did it expose the business though, and say that it was predetermined or all that stuff, or no?
No, it was like, yeah, kind of, sort of, because you could tell that when he was doing the tour, you know, he was doing the same. Like if I was wrestling you and we're in fucking Pittsburgh and we do the same ending and the same beginning, and then we go to Vancouver and we do the same thing we did in Pittsburgh. So yeah, I mean, it exposes a little bit of it, but still, you just look past it, and it's just very, very, very entertaining. And Henry Winkler did a hell of a job as a wrestler in there, and he didn't really do much. And I think he did a flamboyant gimmick too, if I remember correctly, in there too. Just watch it, bro. We'll talk about it.
Cool. So like Gorgeous George then.
Yeah, like a Gorgeous George, if I remember correctly. It was a good movie, man. It was a good movie.
Cool.
Yeah. For 78, yes.
Craig has got one that I definitely have on the list, and that's Paradise Alley from 1978 with Sly Stallone and Terry Funk.
Salami.
Yep. Is that one of your favorites? How would you rate that on the Pantheon?
I like a lot of wrestling movies. There's a lot of I mean, there's a lot of wrestling movies I like, and I can't say which one's a shittier one, but I just like wrestling movies. I mean, besides No Holds Barred, I mean, that's garbage. But
well, it's funny because that's also on the list, and we were going to segue there.
What's that smell?
To No Holds Barred, which apparently legend has it that Vince McMahon and Hogan wrote that over a couple of days in a hotel room, and they thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. They talked about that in the recent Vince doc. Do you remember seeing that movie back in the day, like 89?
Motherfucker, I fucking paid for the fucking pay-per-view. It was the pay-per-view. It was, I don't know which was first. Was it the movie first, then the pay-per-view? It was just
the movie.
The movie. It was. Look, when that thing came out, they were promoting it as like No Holds Barred, and then Hogan versus Zeus. I just don't remember if it was the Hogan versus Zeus. I think it was the movie first, then the match.
I think it was the movie first too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I paid for that shit. So I saw it. You know.
It was what it was. Not very impressive, but the villain in that movie.
Can you listen?
No, not Zeus. The promoter style villain guy.
Oh, the motherfucker from he's been in a lot of movies.
Somebody, really, I'm sure a fan will throw his name up here. He actually did an interview the last I think it was the last year with Hannibal on this channel, and it was quite entertaining. If you can get his name quickly.
Yeah, I get it. I'm about to get it right now, and it's coming up, and his name is Kurt Fuller, and he was Brel.
That's it.
Howard Finkel was in it. Jesse Ventura was a commentator. Howard Finkel was the ring announcer. Phil was in the TV show right now called Evil on Paramount Plus, but he was also in Van Wilder, Scary Movie. I'm looking for the comedy, so I mean, besides TV, but he's been in tons and tons. He was in Ghostbusters 2, it says here.
Yes.
He was in Autofocus, the one about Robert Crane. He was also in The Running Man. Yes,
he did a lot of character work. He was a highlight. But if you had to pick between what was worse, the match or the movie, what would you go with there?
No, I'm just tell you that what I remember when I saw it. I thought both was garbage. I just remember. Trust me, I could close my eyes and that was very disappointing. I was very hurt. And back in the days, you know how much it was in '89 to buy shit on. I don't even know if it was pay-per-view. What was it on? It was.
It wasn't closed circuit. It was
You had to pay for it. So what it was, I remember.
It was pay-per-view, wasn't it?
Yeah, but what it was
Yeah.
is that you had to call it in and put in the code because your phone number was associated, and I had my own cable. I had my own cable in my room. I had my own bill. So what you had to do was just call from the number and put in the code of 456, and that's when you get the pay-per-view. Because back in the days, there was no like an internet or clicking on the button to pay. It was you had to call it in, and then I got it.
You had the little box gimmick on your TV, right?
Yeah, I had the box gimmick and the whole 9 yards from Time Warner, I think it was at the time.
Yeah. That was certainly hyped to the max. That whole presentation, and it was definitely not definitely not a tremendous investment. That's for sure. What about speaking of similar vein? And I know we're jumping around all over the place in terms of the timeline, but fans have talked about Body Slam with
Roddy Piper. Yeah, I love that with the little midget faggot.
Yeah, that was an entertaining piece of business, wasn't it?
Dude, with fucking Benedict from fucking the A-Team.
Dirk Benedict. Yeah,
Dirk Benedict. Yep. He was in there. He was in there, and man, that's a classic. That's a classic movie. Yeah, it's not the greatest quality, but Tonga Kid, They had
the Barbarians in it too.
Yeah, the Barbarians were in it. Yeah, man, it was just
Dickie
a lot
Murdoch, I think, too.
Yeah, I think he was in there. I'm gonna look that up right now. But yeah, that was yeah, I love that. I could watch that right now.
You know what my absolute favorite Roddy Piper movie is? That still, it's kind of had a resurgence in recent years. What was it?
That was in 1986.
86. Yep.
Shit, I was. I was 16. I was 16. No, I was 14. I was 14 years old.
There you go.
Wow.
The definite classic Roddy Piper film has to be They Live.
Yeah, but it's not wrestling related.
Yeah, but it's a Roddy Piper movie. Cooker is saying Dick Murdoch was in Grunt, the wrestling movie, not Body Slam. Thank you. I do mix those up, and I think
so. It says
Dusty
here
Rhodes was in one or two of them, or both of them as well.
So this is the people that it was a low budget movie, but it had people here that were like pretty high up. Meaning they had fucking besides the wrestler, they had Lou Albano, they had John Aston. He played Gomez Adams in the original Addams Family. They had Charles Nelson Riley, Tonga Kid, of course. They had the midget Billy Barty. Alpha was in it.
Yes. Yes.
What was it? I'm looking. They had the Barbarian in it. They had. I'm just looking at some names. They said Freddie Bassie was in it. Sika was in it. Bruno Sammartino was in it, and then a couple of real, some name actors that were in there. Of course, yeah. They had Tanya Roberts in it. Yeah, they had some names in there. Oh, Ric Flair was in it. I don't remember Ric Flair was in it. Was Ric Flair in it?
I remember a cameo. Cooker's pointing out that Dusty was in the original Wrestler in 1974 with Dick Murdoch. I conflate those three all the time. Thanks to Bob for setting us straight on that one. What about in terms of the we're looking at the documentaries? There have been a few really good documentaries based on pro wrestling that had a theatrical run. Thinking of the Sheik, the one about the Iron Sheik in 2014.
Oh, the one who's smoking crack, yeah.
Yeah, 350 Days in 2018, which Bret Hart and Greg the Hammer and so many other stars were in it. But what about the one that seems to still have quite a following to this day, Beyond the Mat, 99?
I didn't really like Beyond the Mat.
You didn't?
No, I didn't really like it that much. I think your movie that you liked was the Teddy Hart movie about the murder of the girl that supposedly it was on Peacock. It was a Teddy Hart documentary.
The docu-series. It was I'm trying to remember what that was called, but yes, that was interesting, and apparently the subject of some litigation to this day, or pending litigation because of the way it was presented.
Dangerous Breed,
That's
Crimes,
it.
Con, and Cats.
That's right. Yeah, I talked to Teddy about that, several interviews, quite extensively, and the one of the original directors who ended up being cut out of the final. I think it was 3 episodes.
Shit, you lucky I wasn't on the show. I'd be fucking grilling them because I don't give a fuck.
Well,
You know?
Ted has a way of definitely going off in numerous directions. Oh, and Craig is also mentioning another one, Wrestling with Shadows. How could I forget about that? And I did forget about that.
Oh yeah, Wrestling with
The
Shadows.
famous documentary about the Montreal Screwjob. Out of them all that you can think of off the top of your head, the non-fictionized versions, which one is your favorite?
Documentary wise?
Yeah, like Wrestling with Shadows.
I think yeah. Let me see. Let me just look back. I think Wrestling with Shadows because I like Bret Hart. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, there's so many documentaries, and I mean, The Wrestler is a great movie, even though that's not a documentary, but it hits home a lot. But I mean, no matter what, the Montreal Screwjob and Wrestling with Shadows was a classic because again, you see how, you know, I think Brett would have just dropped the title. He just didn't want to drop it in Canada in front of his hometown. They could have just figured something out to like make him lose. Shit, they could have dropped it in the next show before he left. All he had to do was call WCW and say, "Hey, look, I just need to finish this obligation before I could come in."
That's not what he says. He says he would have dropped it to anybody except Shawn Michaels in Canada.
No, I'm just saying though, but you know, okay, I agree, you know, but I'm just saying if he didn't want to do it in Canada, then they could have just figured it out somewhere else. You know,
I can't say that I blame him for. Well, you're a long tenured wrestler. If you had someone that said that they weren't going to do the honors for you, would you want to put him over? I wouldn't. And that's exactly what Michaels told Brett.
I'm just a pro, dude. I just don't give a fuck. I just do what I need to do. But I would do it like a fucking Steve Regal versus Goldberg, you know, like I'll beat the shit out of him and then fucking pick him up for a body slam and fall backwards and let him pin me, like some shit like that. But you know, I mean, I would have stretched the guy just to let him know that, you know, fuck you, and then get that, you know, then lose the title. You know.
Yeah, I see both sides of it. He should really do what the promoter wants, but again, he supposedly had reasonable creative control in his contract. But anyway, it made for extremely gripping.
I like Brett. Don't get me wrong. I like Brett, but the story, I never met the guy, and I just hear he's very difficult to work with, and he does believe his own hype. So, you know, yeah, he's probably difficult, and you know, but again, regardless of the fact, he is one of the greatest wrestlers, you know, in my eyes. But again, I don't know him as a person. So if he's a dick and very difficult and says, yeah, I don't know.
He's a national treasure and beloved by us Canadians. What about another one that's kind of a hidden gem, or not hidden, but at least it has a following on social media anyway. People look back at it and regard it fondly. The classic Ready to Rumble from 2000.
You know what's funny? I never saw that movie. That's one movie I never like jumped on. I mean, clips here, clips there, but I never seen it. You know, I'm gonna say, you know, I'll probably watch that today.
Dude, you have to.
I just never watched it from beginning to. I never watched it.
It's quite a time. I mean, I'm a WCW mark from start to finish, including the 2000 era, which is much maligned by people like Meltzer. But David Arquette, I think, was just a heat-seeking individual. What do you think about Russo's decision to put the WCW world title on him, albeit briefly?
I mean, it's memorable now. I mean, it's part of history. But I mean, from a wrestler standpoint, yeah, fucking, it was ridiculous because, you know, it was just like, who the fuck is this dude? You know, it was, to me, it wasn't a good move. But again, that's just my perspective.
Russo counters that it made front page news to the USA Today, and he accomplished what he wanted to do by
getting. Yeah, I mean, he knows what he's doing. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, at the time, I absolutely thought it was horrible, and didn't, without understanding the inner workings of the business, I thought it was an affront to Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, and all the other standard bearers of the WCW, NWA.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about last year's? Speaking of controversy and another mixed review film, what about the Iron Claw from last year that I saw on December 30th? The Von Erich, I want to say biography, but it received a lot of criticism for not being accurate historically or leaving out certain characters. But I went into that film with putting aside the wrestling historian aspect of myself and just looked at it as a piece of entertainment, and I really, really enjoyed it.
I like the Iron Claw. I mean, of course, there's a lot of like false information in there. The way he died at the end, that he was not that close to the house. Like stuff like that. Those, I mean, if you're a real deep wrestling fan, then that's you see those, you just take it for what it is, and it's a good movie. But if you're like one of those historians that know and been in the business or know what really happened, and like, well, it's good, but it didn't happen there, or I know you only have an hour or something to do the movie, so you have to squeeze it in. But I just think and I remember that before, I can't remember exactly. Quote me if I'm wrong, but didn't he say that his dad was dealing with some type of form of dementia and stuck a gun in his face?
Yes.
But was it after the fact that he died, or was it during that time frame? I just can't remember.
It was after Kerry had died, and Kevin said that his dad came down with not came down, but manifested dementia and put a gun in his face at one point in time. Yeah.
I just didn't know if it happened at that time frame. So yeah, like shit like that. I mean, it was a good movie, man. They did the best they could do.
I had the pleasure of interviewing the actor that played Harley Race in the opening sequence, and absolutely fantastic job he did. The major criticism that I have of that movie is Jeremy Allen White is a tremendous actor, character actor. He's got that series, The Bear, on Disney. That is, I mean, it's an acting opus, but Jeremy Allen White, and I kept saying this to folks that I was in the theater with, is not Kerry Von Erich. Kerry Von Erich was 6'4", 275, jacked, gassed out of his mind pounds. Jeremy Allen White is so small. I just couldn't. I found it distracting that he was playing Kerry. I didn't buy it for a second.
Yeah, they could have got somebody else. And again, he's a hell of an actor. It's just, but like I said, if you're looking at it from a historical standpoint, then you should have been like, man, they could have got somebody better to do that part.
Yeah, the fact that Jeremy Allen White was 5'9" and about 155 in the film kind of took a lot out of it. But notwithstanding, still enjoyed it, would still recommend it. What about my personal favorite wrestling movie of all time? It's in my top 5. I must have watched it in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 times, and that would be The Wrestler from 2008 with Mickey Rourke.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
A film that a lot of folks don't like in the business.
It was a good movie. My buddy was in it as Kid USA. He played Mickey Rourke's stunt double. He was doing all the high flying stuff. But
so was Papadon, Greek god Papadon.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah. What was he in? What part was he in? I can't remember. There's a lot of people you got.
In the he was in the locker room area. He's on camera for a bit in one of the indie scenes when the punk rock guy drops a belt to Mickey Rourke at the start of the scene.
So basically just behind the scenes.
Yes. Yeah. And I also had an opportunity to interview Ernest the Cat Miller, who played.
Oh yeah, he played the Sheik gimmick.
Yeah, he was amazing in that film, and he told some very interesting stories about the set. And one of them was that I guess Nicolas Cage was going to be the wrestler Randy the Ram initially. Did you hear that?
Who?
Nicolas Cage was going to be Randy the Ram. I can't see it.
I can't see it either. But he looked great in in fucking Ghost Rider when he took off his shirt. So I mean, there's a possibility, you know. But talking about it right now, I can't see it. It was just like Daniel Craig being James Bond. I remember when he was going to be James Bond, everybody was shitting on him, shitting on him. And but then when he got on, he did a great job. So yeah, I mean, it's
now they're talking about having a female James Bond. So
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, but I heard it's separate. It's not like a James Bond. It's not James Bond. It's the multiverse. You know, like the black girl who plays. She became the 007 because when he left and stuff. So it's a different version. That's what I heard.
I can't really see that being successful, notwithstanding the talents of whoever is selected to do that. But how do you feel about the criticism of the wrestler that it just portrayed the darker indie side of the business too much, and it was too, like, Jim Cornette went off on it a couple of times about it was depressing and blah blah. But honestly, it seemed to be pretty on the money in some aspects. Like the fan fest where nobody was there and the old guys are falling asleep trying to hawk their 8x10s, etc.
It just hit home a little bit because I do remember certain times when things like that happen. But I don't know. It's just that's why I like watching it, but I don't like watching it because when you're a top star, in front of, like you said, like 50,000 people, 100,000 people, whatever, then you go to the fucking bingo hall with 10 people, it's kind of discouraging, it's kind of sad.
Well, they didn't sugarcoat it. I don't think it was overly negative. I thought it was, it was pretty realistic, portrayed it as especially during that time frame, independent wrestling wasn't exactly doing huge business. It was on the precipice of, the Ring of Honor was around and, TNA, etc. But indies weren't doing as well then as they certainly are today. So yeah,
no, I agree 150%. It's just one of those things. Yeah, I mean, it's a good movie, and I mean, if it wasn't that a good movie, he would not been nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, he, in my opinion, that was the best thing Mickey Rourke has ever done. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Want to give I know we've talked about this before. And Craig, superfan Craig, mentioned it, but it's not a movie. But remember Learning the Ropes with Lyle Alzado?
Oh man, the TV show on Fox.
That lasted one season. It was shown on CTV up here, and it was what interested me about it was all the old Jim Crockett footage, the Road Warriors.
I loved it.
Blair, that was excellent.
He played a school teacher by day and wrestler by night. Yeah. I remember like it was yesterday. I loved that show. I used to watch it religiously. I mean, even though it only lasted one season, I was pretty upset when they didn't come back on no more. I really don't know why it didn't let it continue.
I heard the production costs were significant, and CTV up here, the channel that carried it, kind of decided to cut their losses. But that was some good stuff, especially for the 80s. And Steve Williams, Dr. Death, played or did the in-ring stuff for Lyle Alzado's character, so that was cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What was the character's name? Monster something? No,
he wore a mask. That's all I can.
Now I got to look it up. But yeah, I mean, it was a good show. I loved it.
Talk about a cult classic. They had a lot of the Jim Crockett Promotions talent on the time, and of course the Road Warriors, which were my favorite tag team forever. So marked out when I saw them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was September of '88 to March of '89. Yeah, it was short
run.
I'm just reading, but I'm just trying to remember the name of the character. His name was Robert Randall.
Yes, as the teacher, but the Masked Marauder. Does that make sense?
Oh no, here we go. Steve Williams as Dr. Steve Williams as the Masked Maniac.
I was close.
Masked Maniac.
That's a deep cut into the recesses of my brain. So yeah, I like you. really enjoyed and continue to this day wrestling related films, especially the documentaries and selected fictionalized portrayals. I remember around the time the Iron Claw came out, they were talking about doing a similar treatment for ECW. Do you remember hearing that?
Yeah, I heard that rumor because it did so well. They just wanted to do a spin on that. But again, that's just, you gotta take it with a grain of salt. You can't take it at face value. Let's see if they do that. And who's
Well,
gonna
my
be in it?
goodness. If any story deserves that kind of treatment, ECW has enough for a 2 hour film right there. And the Kingpin can be part of it too. And DeVito.
They'll probably, and it depends on how far they go. They might just go from the beginning to the middle, or they could go to the end. And I don't know. I mean, how that? Don't know.
Well, hopefully there's a chance for that. I don't think, given the fact the Iron Claw did well, I don't think we've seen the last of them. But definitely, pro wrestling lends itself to such dramatized versions on screen, and hopefully they somebody somewhere puts the funds together for an ECW dramatization. One thing that just jumped into my head before we move on to the corner man is the Tri-State Wrestling One and Done that I referred to earlier. They are filming a documentary discussing
Disgusting.
discussing the history of Tri-State Wrestling, and they'll be filming the Fan Fest and the show. So that'll be great. Again, I think it's great that Joel is going to be getting his due for what he did, a really revolutionary, groundbreaking promoter at the time. But I want to turn it over to you, Kingpin, before we close out, to talk about the passing of your great friend, the corner man, Juan.
Well, yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I just wanted to talk about Wong and take the final couple minutes on the show to talk about what a great guy he was. I trained him. I helped train him because Johnny was the pinnacle, of course, but I guided him. He was a great, and I don't want to call him a kid because we're close in age. I mean, he's in his late 40s. I'm in my early 50s, but I mean, he was a great guy, just funny, just loving, always wanted to give, always wanted to put a smile on your face. And again, this is not some bullshit of like, he was a good man, he was a kind-hearted dude. There was nothing negative about him. He wanted to help everybody. He was always at Gleason's gym helping Johnny out. The guy was just aces. And him going to Japan, I'm happy that he was traveling. It was just heartbreaking to hear that he passed away there. And but I guess you were doing something that you love, like, hey, if you're gonna die doing something you love. You don't want nobody to die, but at least he was doing something that he was passionate about and he loved to do. Because the guy never done drugs, as far as I know. He never done drugs. He didn't drink. No, I mean, he drank, but not like abusively, because he called me from bars, drinking, having a beer or two, eating some wings, the corner man. And he was always entertaining me about freestyle and just texting me and stuff. So, the one thing that was just pretty shocking that, you don't realize when you go traveling that the process to bring back somebody from overseas is just, I don't want to say horrific, but a lot of paperwork and a lot of finances that you need that you don't realize. So it really like opened my eyes in regards to like, because it was a process to bring him back. And
He was in Japan, correct?
yeah, Japan, and you have to follow certain guidelines, and there's certain rules, and money. You got to pay for certain things, and it's very, very pricey. So it made me look up like, is there insurance for that? And there is an insurance for that. Just in case you die in Ireland or die in Afghanistan or, Dubai, just visiting, and that's a process. And it really broke my heart because he passed away on December 10th, and his funeral was on the 28th. He just got back this past Monday. So it was almost 2 weeks. And I just feel bad for his family, to go through that. I donated, everybody donated. Anything they need, I told them just reach out to me. And it's just sad, man. And I just wanted to just say, like, all the guys, when people die, you realize, man, I didn't speak to him and stuff. And I felt bad, because I wish I would have spoke to him one more time before he left if I knew he was going to go to Japan. Not to say goodbye, but it just feels good when you do. Hey, man, I just spoke to him. We had a good time, but, he's going to be greatly missed. And, get yourself checked out, man. Make sure that your clock is ticking real good. And, he passed away of congestive heart failure over there. That's what I heard about the autopsy. But he was a good dude. He'll always be remembered. That's why I put the corner man here. I wanted to say a few words but yeah, he knew everybody. Nana, Matt Stryker, everybody. He was there from the beginning. Devon, all of them.
Well, it's I think you're very correct in that appreciate your friends, appreciate your life while you're around, because you never know when it's going to be over. And we're going to forego with the usual outro and dedicate this episode to the memory of Charles Juan Jeremy Perez. Rest in peace, sir.